How dangerous are fibroids? And what are fibroids? Well, fibroids are not really dangerous, but they're very annoying. They cause a lot of trouble. They cause pain. They cause heavy bleeding. They cause compression symptoms. They push on the bladder. So a woman has urinary frequency and urgency and has to run to the bathroom, and suddenly they start having more urinary problems and they wonder why. There's a lot of discomfort. There's changes with intercourse and intimacy. Now there's pain where it didn't used to be. The periods are much more crampy. They're longer. A lot of women suffer from fatigue due to chronic anemia because they bleed so much from these fibroids. So a lot of physicians tell women in perimenopause, when it's actually the typical time to see fibroids, just wait for menopause. Well, waiting for menopause is not going to fix the fibroids. The fibroids are happening for a reason. And most of the time, we don't really know what the reason is. We suspect it's some combination of genetic predisposition and hormonal imbalances, just like endometriosis, just like interstitial cystitis, all specific female problems that develop due to all kinds of hormonal imbalances. And again, other factors that we don't know why. And there are some women who are much more predisposed to fibroids, like for example, certain ethnicities like African American women have much more fibroids than Caucasian women, and compared to the Asian women who also have less fibroids. So long story short, fibroids can be very annoying. So what is the best treatment for fibroids? I have a whole episode on the Wellness Optimizing Warrior MD podcast. Please visit the podcast episode regarding fibroids. Lots of information about treatments. But the point I want to make here in today's video is that fibroids are not to be ignored. Fibroids continue growing. Fibroids can turn cancerous. 1 in 1,000, it will turn cancerous. It's called a sarcoma. And you cannot diagnose that on an ultrasound. You cannot diagnose it on MRI. You cannot diagnose it with an endometrial biopsy. Sometimes the only way, actually all the time, the only way you can diagnose a sarcoma is take the uterus out, send it over to be analyzed, and the pathologist comes back and says, oh, you know what, there was a sarcoma. And you're like, oh, thank God we took it out. Because you don't know until you know. And have an ultrasound once a year. It's important to know, it's important to look at your uterus, it's important to measure your fibroids. I have women who come into me for hormone replacement and they say, oh yeah, I know I have fibroids. When was your last ultrasound? Oh, 5 years ago. I don't know, a long time ago. Do not ignore uterine fibroids. We want to know how big they are, where they're located, how many. Are they growing with hormones? Are they growing during perimenopause? Please do not ignore them. They